Yo, so guys, it's Skills. Today is going to be a video on Grand Cross again, but this is going to be a PvP on global. So this is my tier list. Now take this with a grain of salt. I am doing this personally on opinion and just seeing what kind of units have been against me whenever I played them. So don't take this like, oh, this is like the best thing, but personally what I've seen, these are the units that would be ranked where I put them. Now let me know in the comments below if you guys would put a specific unit in here as well. I have all these units right here that you guys can pretty much play along with this. So if you guys see a unit that you guys would personally put in the tier list, go ahead and put that in the comments below with the specific ranking that you want to put them at, so I can actually understand where you guys have seen the units being played for you guys. So basically the first unit I'm going to talk about is everyone's been using this every time I played in PvP. It's going to be the Blue King. This Blue King, everyone knows how crazy he is. He is one of the best units still in the game, but for now, currently, the reason why he's really good is because he petrifies, which is a really big deal, and then he also does the healing. So he does really good healing for your unit, and one good thing is he also removes debuffs, which is a big deal, because you have so many units that will debuff you, and that's going to be annoying because let's just say you have units that can do a lot of damage. For example, like you can see that green Meliodas is on here as well, but then you also have like blue DN that also do some pretty good damage. But I believe units that will like debuff you would be like the green Gother. Green Gother should be able to debuff you, or he de-ranks your skills as well, so which is a really annoying thing as well. So that's one thing that you want to look at. But I know there's some units that will debuff you. I don't know exactly which ones here, but if you guys see them, just let me know. But with what I've seen whenever I was playing PvP, I have seen green or blue King. I've seen blue DN. Blue DN is a really good unit because she is an AoE unit, so she does some pretty hard damage, especially with her ult. So I would say she's worth being on the global side of the tier list right now, and this is just global's tier list currently. This is like the most updated so far in my opinion. If you guys have any kind of other units that you see on here, just let me know. It'll be easier that way. But blue DN, she's very good in my opinion because she has one of her attacks where she also disables attack skills, which is a very big deal because let's just say you're fighting against blue red Bond. He has an attack where of course he'll take away your ult gauge. If you disable that attack skill, he won't do that, so then you won't have to take your ult away, which is really good because then you can ult them and you'll do some pretty good damage from that. You basically in PvP currently what I've been doing is I've been trying to get King and DN's ult at the same time because that's double the ults, which is double the AoE attack, which is crazy. So these two units definitely would be good. And then you have Bond, of course. Bond's really good for taking away ult gauge, and then the good thing is his second skill is not that bad because his second skill is basically gonna assume a stance which grants debuff immunity for 1 turn. And then whenever you take damage, he basically heals 50% of the diminished HP at the start of the next turn, which is really good. So that's a really big deal in my opinion, because if you're going to take a lot of damage from, like, let's just say an ult, right? He's going to get all his health, well, a good amount of health back, and he's literally like just invincible at that point, in my opinion. That's pretty good, so that's why I have him in SS tier. The next unit, this unit, I cannot stress this enough. This unit is so annoying to go against because this Elizabeth is crazy. Like, she is one of the best healers right now, personally. Because one thing is she does her second skill is a two healer, or her second skill is a healer, and then her ultimate is also a healing. If you have with King, she heals a lot more, I believe. I think she does a lot more. Yeah, 480% of attack and fills the ultimate gauge by 3 orbs, which is really good. So good thing to know that. And then she does healing again, so she does heals HP of all allies equal to 400% of attack and removes debuffs as her 3-star healing. And then she also, which is really good right here, she cancels buffs and stances on one enemy and inflicts damage equal to 400% with her first attack. That is really good. So keep in mind that she will be used a lot most likely in PvP, so just be careful when you go against her. Focus on her or King together because they're going to be like fighting against you're going to fight against them for sure, and you want to focus on getting rid of them first on the team. The next units, I would say, now this is the S tier listing. The reason why I put this here is because you can switch these units out. I would personally say the top listing, the SS tier, would be like the really good team to run. But like I said, you can switch units out, and you guys can like add on units that you feel like would be good. So just let me know in the comments below what kind of teams you guys are running, so I can actually do better with this as well. But for this is of course my opinion. But Green Meliodas, he's good for having basically his ult and his first skill attack, which is pretty good damage. But the thing about it is that if you're gonna use his full counter, it's basically useless against units like King, or units like you have units like Gustav. The reason why is because they can freeze you or they can petrify you, and basically that's just going to remove your full counter, which is annoying, but that's just how it is. So that's just one thing to know. But he does some really good damage. That's why I have him at S tier. So that's one reason. Don't take that too crazy. He's good, but SS tier, not there yet. So another unit I would say is going to be Green Elizabeth. She is very annoying to fight against. So one thing about her is that she basically decreases defense related stats by 40% for 2 turns on her 3-star. Even her 2-star, she does 1 turn for that, and it's just crazy, and it's 30% for that. But decreasing defense related stats is a big deal in this game, because if you're going to take out that much defense on an enemy, then that means you're going to take more damage from someone who can do a hard hitter, like let's just say an AoE attack unit or a Green Meliodas. Some pretty good damage. She also does inflict pierce damage equal to 250% of attack on all enemies, which pierce is going to be 3 times pierce rate increase, and her pierce rate is already sitting at 31%. So she's going to do some pretty good damage from that as well. So just keep in mind, like, she will be a pretty hard hitter just by herself. She won't do some crazy damage, but she'll definitely finish you off really fast. Then the next thing is her ult. Of course, she cancels stances on one enemy and inflicts damage equal to 700% of the attack or the enemy, so that's really good too. She can do some really good damage for sure. So I have her at S tier, not fully SS tier yet. I think there are some other units you could possibly put on here, but with the units I've seen on PvP so far, I think that she's ranked at S. Now you have Hellbrum. Hellbrum is just there because one, he's good for a boost for attack. So that's one thing to know about him. I personally could have put him a little bit lower, but I don't think that would have been the right thing to do. But he's good because he boosts his attack related stats, and then of course if you have a hard hitter or AoE, you can do some really good attacks from that as well. One thing to know is that he also does poison. So one thing to know about that is that he is going to do poison, which is additional damage equal to 50% of damage dealt at the end of every turn. So you can slowly take out the enemy's health, which is a pretty big deal. And then his ultimate also cancels buffs and stances on all enemies and inflicts damage equal to 280% or 350% if you have him with Gustav. Now one thing to know is if you have a unit if someone has a stance on, this unit will take it out, which is a really big deal, like Green Meliodas. So it's good to know from that. The other unit would be Wainhart. I don't think he's in the game yet. I don't think I've seen him, but I'll just put him in here just in case. Actually, he is in the game. I don't think I have him though. But basically he's good to have as well because he disables attack skills, which is really good. So let's just say you're going against Bond, you can take that out of the way, so you can already not get taken out by Bond's first attack, which is annoying because you want to ult, so that's the main thing. The next thing would be he removes stances, which is a very big deal against Green Meliodas, and inflicts damage equal to 180% of attack, then disables stance skills for 2 turns. So then he can't be full countered basically, so that's a really big deal for sure. And then his ultimate is going to inflict pierce damage equal to 560% of attack on one enemy, and pierce is 3 times pierce rate increase, which is a pretty big deal because his pierce rating is currently 20%, but if you're going to give a boost like that, you're going to do some pretty decent damage. Now Gustav, he's really good because he's going to freeze. So this freeze is the same as Merlin's units, so we already have him in the game. You can summon for him if you want to. Now you can see that he is a freeze unit right here, so you can see when he freezes, you can't see it, but I'm explaining it. He freezes one enemy for 1 turn, or you can do freezes enemy for 2 turns, but when you freeze on a 3-star, you're going to do an additional 200% damage when someone else hits them. So if you freeze, let's just say Green Meliodas, and you use an AoE attack, you're going to do an additional 200% of damage, which is very crucial for that. So you can't do it that way, or the 2-star, which is an 80% boost, which is a pretty big deal regardless. So just keep in mind that Gustav is a really good unit for that as well. Then you have, so Arthur. I don't want to say this, but Arthur is not really that useful currently right now. He's decent to boost like some units, but he removes debuffs from all enemies and decreases basic stats by 30% and grants debuff immunity for 3 turns. That's not bad. I mean, that's really, really good later on in the game, but it's currently it's not really that useful, so I would put him at A tier. Now you have Green, this Green what's the name, Gother. Green Gother is pretty decent. So he does remove skill ranks. He decreases skill ranks as well. So that's a really big deal. And he inflicts 400% of the damage. And then when he takes away the skill ranks, he then depletes the ultimate move gauge by the number of skill ranks he decreases. So that's a pretty good thing to know as well. His second skill is Nightmare Teller, which is going to decrease ultimate move damage of one enemy by 20%. His 3-star of that would be 50%, and then he also restricts ultimate move effects for 3 turns. So that's pretty big, actually. It's not, I wouldn't like run him all the time though, but for what I've seen, I'd say he's an A tier because I've taken him out pretty quickly. So then you have Red Deanne. She's pretty decent as well. I believe she does remove stances, which is a big deal, from one enemy and inflicts damage equal to 220% of attack. Then disables stance skills for 1 turn. That's her 2-star skill. Her 3-star does 360% damage. Then the second skill is going to decrease defense-related stats of all enemies by 20%, which is really good. So keep that in mind that she can decrease the defense for an enemy, which is a big deal in my opinion. And then of course have a powerhouse unit that just takes them out all out. So big deal about that. Then you have Pierce, her ultimate, which is going to inflict Pierce damage equal to 350% of attack on all enemies. So Pierce, of course, is 3 times of the Pierce rate increase, which is a big deal as well. So she's decent. I would keep her at A tier just because the blue one is much better for AoE and just how strong she is. So I keep her at SS tier. So she can be a substitute as well, but she is A tier based. So the next unit right here is going to be Jillian. She removes stances, which is the basic thing about her, or she cancels stances, which is a big deal. That's why she is an A tier, but she doesn't do more than that. She does remove stances from one enemy with her ultimate, but she only inflicts like so much damage that she's not going to be useful. She also disables stance skills for 2 turns, which that is a pretty good thing, but I don't think many people are going to really use her, so I really put her in A tier for that reason. Slater is an A tier for another reason as well, because Slater is going to be another unit that can do some pretty good damage, and he can get rid of he can remove stances as well, so that's good to know. And then with his ultimate, he can do some pretty hard damage, so I might just move Slater up in S tier. Actually, now that I'm looking at him, I think that would be pretty good for him, but I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, this is just an opinion based thing, so let me know what you guys think. Next unit, you have Green Meliodas. Green Meliodas is really good because he does have a full counter, which is pretty decent. He will do some pretty good damage from that, but his 3-star evades once when an enemy, he evades once when attacked and inflicts damage equal to 400% of attack, which evade is immune to damage from attack skills, which is really good to know. Then you have his ultimate, which inflicts Sever damage equal to 660% of attack on one enemy, and the Sever is 2 times crit chance increase, which crit chance of his, I believe it's at 21%. So 21% is not bad, but I don't think he's going to be that useful compared to the green one on PvP currently. Then you have Red Dreyfus. This SR Red Dreyfus right here, he's good because he decreases attack related stats, which is a big deal in the game as well. So you want to keep in mind that he can be pretty decent as a sub unit, just in case if you want to decrease attack related skills. So keep in mind that he could be pretty good for that. But I kept him at A tier because he's not going to be used that often, but he's basically like an honorable mention kind of thing. Now we're going to get back to these 2 last units that I really want to talk about. So Hauser, currently I feel like Hauser is not going to be useful, so I have him at B, but Hauser is an actual AoE unit as well. I haven't seen anyone really use Hauser yet, so I can't really say too much on it, but Hauser himself is an AoE unit that can do some pretty decent damage because he is a Pierce damage. So Pierce is going to be 3 times the Pierce rate increase, which is a really big deal. So he can do some crazy damage from that, but for now, I don't think he's going to be very useful, so I won't really say too much about him. But he does do some pretty decent damage from all of his AoE attacks because they're literally all AoE attacks. So one good thing about his ultimate is that he also decreases skill ranks, which is a pretty big thing, and then he depletes the ultimate move gauge by the number of skill ranks decreased. So however many he takes out for that, he's going to take out for the skill ranks as well, which is a pretty big deal. But B tier just because I don't think anyone's been using him at all. Then the last girl is Freesia, however you want to say her name. I've seen her being used, but she's very useless. Like, she can poison, which is pretty decent, but everything else I've seen, she's not really doing much. But I've seen her on playing against PvP, so I can't really say much. I have to keep her in this, so just for that reason. But she does, I guess, some damage, but basically she's really like a unit that's gonna poison you and just wait until attack is going to like go down even more slowly. Like your health is gonna go down slowly. But that's basically all the units I've seen in PvP so far. So I would rank that these are the best units so far currently for PvP, but it could change, of course, every time it changes. The meta changes, of course. But if you guys see any kind of units under here, let me know in the comments below where you guys would rank them. If let's just say you want to put, you want to put this red Gila somewhere, you want to put her in SS tier, you can go ahead, do whatever you want in the comments below, so I can actually understand where you guys are ranking this as well, so I can have better teams to run for PvP just in case. I'm currently sitting in gold 5. I'm trying to get into plat 1 once I plat 1 or plat 5 actually, platinum 5 once I can. I have to grind out a lot in the game, but that's basically where I would put all these units. If you guys have any kind of other comments, just let me know in the comments below. But hopefully you guys did enjoy today's video. This is just a debate video, nothing too crazy. Hopefully you guys don't go too crazy on this, but this is just to see where you guys would rank these units and just seeing how well these units did for you when you played against them or even when you played with them. So hopefully you guys did enjoy. Hopefully you guys haven't, or if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel, drop a like on today's video if you guys haven't already, and the comment down below. I'm just very curious on how this is gonna go. But have a great day, guys.